Viddy, can you just give us an update on Aziz to kick things off and how bad that hammy is?
Well, I haven't seen him this morning. Speaking to the high performance guys yesterday, he's tracking really well. I don't think he's going to be okay for tomorrow, but certainly ready for the next game. So
Is that one where
he's doing really well.
is that one that you'd expect? I know we're not talking too much about Socceroos, but obviously that would be the next lot of games where you expect him to miss that window as well, given hammies can be a tricky one.
Yeah, obviously he's not going with the Socceroos, so he'll be ready for the Adelaide game post-international break.
And Aurelio, I think the squads came out and Lex was listed as unavailable with a hamstring as well. Obviously, he's been engaged in a battle with soft tissue injuries over the past year or so. What's the update on him?
Yeah, he has a very low grade hamstring like he had last time. A couple of weeks, probably up to 3 weeks. He's already jogging, so he's had a wretched form of luck with the soft tissue injuries since I've been here, to be honest. We have to try to figure out a plan what we're going to do with him next.
Because I know we talked about after one of the games earlier, we were talking about maybe doing some reviews, finding out about all these soft tissue injuries, and then a couple more of the lads have gone down with soft tissue injuries. Have you started that review process? How's it going?
Yeah, the high performance guys are looking deep into it, and look, there's not one particular thing. There's probably just a raft of things that has led to this. So at the end, we've got to train. We've got to train hard. That's the first thing. We've got to absolutely be more robust, and some are coping better than the others. The more running you do, the faster the games are, the less recovery time you have. They're all factors that lead to the soft tissue injuries. You're either overtrained, you're undertrained, or you're under-recovered. So generally it falls into one of those brackets.
Vinny, what's your genuine sort of expectation of your team? Like, obviously he's got back late on Wednesday night and probably didn't get home until, back to the house until after, midnight. Had yesterday off, just training today. I know the Derby's going to lift like any team, but what's your sort of genuine thoughts about how ready your what's the name team is?
No, we'll be as ready as we can be. And you're right, we arrived just before midnight on Wednesday. I think they've all had a decent sleep, having a very light training session today, touch on a couple of things for tomorrow's game, and get back into recovery mode again after training. And if they can get another decent sleep tonight, we'll be as ready as we can be. Well, we know it's always difficult, we know that, but we're not using that as an excuse. Our guys' mentality right through this period has been spot on. It's been first class. We had a very tough travel after Brisbane, like leaving 4:30 a.m. To get to Japan. We left 3:30 a.m. after the game against Machida to get to the airport to come back home. So we've lost a fair bit of quality sleep in that period, but our guys have not complained about it at all. They've got their head down. They understand what it is, and prepare the best way we possibly can to put in a good performance tomorrow night. And like you said, it's a derby, so you have to be up for it anyway. We'll be as fresh as we possibly can be. We'll make some changes, obviously, like we did on Tuesday night, and try to put the best team out onto the park to perform well.
I guess, Aurelio, despite the fact that you have been in the wards, do you look at that Zelvia game? I think you were playing an 11 with an average age of 22. They've gone out there and got such a huge win. As you can take confidence in that even though guys are down, the youngsters are once again stepping up?
Yeah, correct. We had a very young team on Tuesday. here in the A-League, we don't come up against opposition like that. They were just so physically strong, played a lot of direct balls, really challenged us. We were on the back foot, especially in that first half. We had only small moments where we were able to control the game, and we were much better in the second half. And those games, sometimes they're not going to be on your own terms, and some of those games it's about hanging in there and finding a way to win. And as I said earlier, our mentality is first class. It doesn't matter what's happening. We're just rolling up the sleeves at the moment and trying to get a job done. So everyone who's come in has not just come in and, got their name on their shirt and put themselves in a position on the pitch. They've actually had an impact for the team, and that's important.
How much can you let into things like the grand final result coming into this derby? I know there's some very different players, Vidi, but it's pretty big bragging rights to hold, and you did it the hard way in that grand final too, heading into this one.
Yeah, we look. It's obviously a new year, and that was the last game we played, and obviously it was grand final, and we were very, very good that night. We're a different team. We got different players lining up in tomorrow's game. Some will probably play the first derby as well. So totally different, but it's always a derby. It's always a derby. It's a special game, highly emotional as always. And I think for us, it's always important just to keep your emotions in check. I think I mentioned it last year, and it could spark off at any moment. But if it does, we just got to keep calm. We got to focus on what we're doing and doing that to the very best of our ability. And then we'll see what the outcome is.
Just they got a couple of quite different looking threats in John Rowe and obviously Juan Mata as in terms of playmakers. I know you're down a bit in your defensive midfield stocks. What sort of challenge is that for Kai and I guess Zane or whoever else can work in there?
Yeah, it's always a challenge when you're up against quality players. We don't have to talk about Mata or John Rowe. They're quality players. They make the team make victory much better, and we saw that last week against the result against Perth. So always a challenge, but you got to compete in every moment, and we're going to have some really good moments. They're going to have their moments in the game, and it's all part of it. And then if we can control those moments when they're attacking, I think that's what's going to be the difference. I don't think there's a hell of a lot between the teams, to be honest. We might be a little bit undermanned, but I think they got a couple of players missing as well. I'm not sure what's happening with Miranda. We know Dorigo's out as well, so maybe they're back in this week. We're not sure.
Vinny, are you I don't know, sort of, I guess, surprised or maybe disappointed that such a big game, like, Derby, grand final rematch, has been scheduled in a week where you guys have been away for half the week and you sort of, your preparation's almost sort of, compromised? Would you have preferred this game, such a big game, to be scheduled in a week where there was, nothing else on for you guys?
Look, I think our guys have gone through the schedule. We've been toing and froing with the APL and trying to get the best outcome for ourselves. But we also know that it's not our home game, so we don't dictate that. And we're pretty happy with our schedule, although it's quite tough. Where we lose in recovery times now, or recovery times. For some of the Socceroo selected players when we go to Adelaide next week. We win later on in the season, like December. I think we have probably 5 or 6 games at home, so we don't have to travel. So at the end, it is what it is, and you always try to get yourself a favourable draw, but also the other teams want the draw to be favourable for them as well. So that's the least of our concern. What we got to do is think about recovering well, and preparing ourselves mentally and getting ready for a big game tomorrow.
Just before we touch on the Socceroos boys, Viddy, can you just tell us about Andrew Naboot? We're going to chat to him in a minute. The influence he's had, obviously scoring the other night, and we know he's had such a horror run with injuries over the last couple of years. It must have done you guys a world of good to have him back and firing and fired up already.
Yeah, he's amazing. He gives so much to our group. We missed him while he was out the last year, and he was tracking before he got injured. He was tracking on to have a really good season. He'd scored a couple of goals early before his injury. It's been frustrating for him, obviously. Trying to get himself back to this point, but he's back. He's had several minutes now over the last couple of games. He scored the winner the other day. He gives us so much within the group, just his presence, his leadership qualities. He's always bubbly. He's a competitor. He wants to win. So, we're really fortunate to have him. Hopefully he can stay on the park now for us. It's going to be extremely important that he can stay on the pitch for us because he adds so much value to us. So really happy to have him, and hopefully he can still make an impact for us, and I'm sure he will.
And I guess that leads on to, you had a couple of boys selected in the Socceroos squad. This is obviously for once the squad's named. Can you just talk us through those two and how you've seen them and what you make of their two selections?
Yeah, brilliant. Thoroughly deserved. Kai has been super consistent for us last year when he first came to the club. And second year is always generally pretty difficult, but he's over a 100-game A-League player already, so a lot of experience. First and foremost, he's a top person, and he works so hard in his game, and he's never happy with his game, and I think that's what sets him apart from everyone else. He's never happy with his game. He's always reviewing his game. He's tactically smart. He sees things before most. So really pleased for him. He thoroughly deserves it. And unfortunately, he's got to go for another long trip now to the States. And hopefully he can get some game time because I think he deserves it and he needs to show himself. So I think it's a great selection. And obviously, Patrick, we took I wouldn't say a massive gamble, but we took an educated punt last year when we decided to put him into the team. And I think we always knew where Patrick can get and where he could go. And he's working on his game. He wants to get better all the time. He's also one who's just progressing so well. He's a goalkeeper who just makes saves, and we saw that again Tuesday night. When we were under the pump, he made some extraordinary saves, and that's what keeps you in games. We talk about the defensive unit, and he's an important part to our defensive unit. And again, a guy who wants to learn, always doing extra work, and it's amazing. He's only 22, 23, I think, and his ceiling is so high, and he deserves this opportunity as well. Talking to Popper last week, he was really happy with him in camp. So I'm not sure who else he's selected with the goalkeepers. I'm not sure if he's going to get any opportunity to play, but he's another one that in a short space of time certainly deserves an opportunity.
Vinny, as you said, 22 years old for a goalkeeper. It's their infancy as a goalkeeper. Just how high is his ceiling? How good can he be?
For me, he can play the top teams in time. Absolutely top team in Europe for sure. He's, like I said, we've been working with his distribution, with his feet, with his hands, out of his hands. Sunders, our goalkeeper coach, has done a tremendous job with him so far. He's naturally making saves anyway, and he just makes some extraordinary saves. And I think just the way he is, with his long long legs, long arms. He's able to do that, but he's got so many great attributes in that sense, and he's improving all the areas that he needs to improve on. He's continually doing that on a weekly basis, and from where he was last year pre-season, when he came into this pre-season, he was a completely different goalkeeper, and that's one with work and one also with confidence, and he's continued that through his pre-season, and he's already started to have a really impactful season for us this year.
Yeah, just on Kai, is the understanding he's in as a defensive midfielder, Aurelio? That's what he's been doing for you guys lately, previously called up as a centre-back, obviously.
Yeah, look, he's going to do both jobs for us, both roles. We had him there on last Friday, Brisbane in midfield. We had him on Tuesday in at the back next to Germain. So, again, he's such a great player that he can play in those positions for us, in our view, quite comfortably. Maybe he didn't see himself as a bona fide central midfielder because he's a lot comfortable playing as a central defender, but in our view, we saw a lot of signs that he can play that in a consistent position, and in my view, he can do that for the national team as well. Being able to be flexible to play as a central midfielder or a centre back, and can do a great job.